It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James. Newsletter for August 6th, 2014, a Wednesday afternoon here in Los Angeles at our corporate headquarters here at School of Trade. Welcome back, welcome back. Another jam-packed, exciting newsletter in store for you guys this evening. We've got three specific goals here tonight. We'll take a first look at what happened today. Second, we'll take a look at the schedule for tomorrow. And third, we'll give you guys strategies whether the market goes higher, lower, or sideways on Wednesday evening and, of course, into Thursday's trading session. We are trading right through the month of August right now. Today was definitely one of those days where we felt that summertime slow down. From time to time, there are moments here during the month of August where it's going to look like everybody's gone home or gone to the beach, right? But we know to stick around because today was a great example of how the beginning of the session in the U.S. at least, very slow, very sleepy, but sure enough, our patience rewarded us. Crude falling after lunch, Russell falling after lunch. Gold jumps this morning based on geopolitical fears, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. If you've been keeping up with our newsletter the past couple of weeks, we have had some incredible calls on Russell and crude oil, especially on that black gold. Boy, crude continues to push lower. Now, before we jump into our charts here today, I do want to remind you here, head on over to sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching this video on our YouTube page right now, there should be a link right below the video, and that will take you over to sidewaysmarkets.com. That's our trading blog, and I want you guys to follow that link over to the trading blog for three specific reasons. First one, right below today's video on the blog at Sideways Markets, you'll see there's a bonus link here to download all of my charts and all of the charts that I'm not showing you tonight, right? So I'm going to go over all the charts that I'm using here for tomorrow's trading. I've also got all of the expanded anchor charts, which you guys can download for free, of course, by following that link right below it. So grab a copy of today's charts, also all the bonus charts, and have those ready for tomorrow morning's trading session. Next up, second thing here, upper left-hand corner, grab a copy of your free pass to attend our live trade room. Every afternoon, we invite you guys as guests to come out and join us in our live trade room. You might be wondering how we use this newsletter to profit every day in our trade room. I'm going to show you guys in real time by taking me up on my offer for that free pass. Upper left-hand corner. Lower left-hand corner, right above my ugly mug, you'll see a spot there for your name and your email address. Go ahead and join our nightly newsletter mailing list. That way I'll always send you an email every evening when our newsletter goes live. No more waiting around on the blog page, waiting for the newsletter to go up. I'll give you an email when it gets posted. So three things here, guys, on Sideways Markets. One, make sure you take me up on the offer to download all of these charts I've worked so hard on. Have those ready for tomorrow. And, of course, upper left-hand corner, free pass to come out and attend our trade room this week. And you know it, that newsletter list in the lower left-hand corner. All right, so now you know what you got to do here this evening on our blog. I think we're ready to rock and roll here. Let's jump right in. Markets were moving with a little slice of summer here today. I'll tell you, I could smell the suntan lotion here in Los Angeles. It was definitely feeling like a summertime trading day. Remember, the month of August is notorious for inconsistent volume. Don't buy into the idea that you can't trade August. I definitely know that the summertime month of August is going to be inconsistent, but we know that if we stay patient, we will be rewarded. So you can definitely trade through the month of August. There will be times, though, of slower volume. Today was a good example of that, where we had to wait a few hours this morning. Boy, I'll tell you, though, after we got through 10:30, everything started to thaw out, and it really became a very profitable session here in the U.S. Starting first here with our mighty mini Russell, we can take a look at the daily chart here right now. And if I zoom in on this, boy, you can see nothing but doji. Boy, little bit of a push higher here today, but you can see 1, 2, 3 days in a row here where pretty much what's happening is we're opening, going lower, going higher, and finishing right where we started. And that's pretty much been the story on Russell this week. We felt it the minute we finished that big drop last week. Remember that big drop we had last week? Big drop down last week. And what's happened is the buyers have tried to pull this thing higher. And right now we're wondering what direction is going to be in control right now. we're definitely still on the bearish side, but like I said in last night's newsletter, this Russell is barely holding on tight here to the downside right now. Take a closer look at it, and you can see for yourself. We've got some higher highs on the anchor chart. We've got some higher lows, but it wasn't until, if you were my trader this morning, we got to selling. We finally got a chance to get short on this thing. Now, I did adjust this chart from yesterday. If you go back and watch yesterday's newsletter, you'll see there was a sell zone here, right, just below that 27.2. So we got our trigger to get short here late in the morning, early in the afternoon. I am definitely still bearish on this Russell, but as you can see, though, those buyers are definitely giving this thing a run for its money. It might be all the poor news we're seeing in Europe. It might be the violence and the indecision in the Middle East. It's definitely not the U.S., that's for sure. Here in the U.S., we have some very strong earnings coming out right now, some very strong bullish news reports. We've seen great factory orders, great manufacturing, low inflation. So the news is definitely not to blame right now in the U.S. It appears that everything else around the world is kind of choking these buyers a little bit, and just what it feels like is, today's price action, if you were watching today's price action, it was a very low volume move higher, right? I don't want to go too far to make any predictions, but it felt like this was a rookie rally, right? This is a retail trader's rally, because at the end of the morning, we finally went up into our sell zones. And again, if you go back and watch last night's newsletter, you'll see this area right here was a sell zone last night. And so, of course, in the trade room, we're watching it, we're resisting the temptation to buy, and then sure enough, once we found the pattern, we were able to get short here. So in our shorts here right now, we got targets down below us right now. I'm still bearish on this Russell, all right? We can see we did tumble right back in between these moving averages, and of course, right below that prior swing low here. So definitely not the bullish side yet. I'm not quite on board with the bulls yet. We will have, though, some more sell zones overhead. As you can see here, I've got quite a bit of opportunity here. Even if we do start pushing higher, I'm still looking here to be a seller in the long term on this mini Russell. Now, as we're going lower here right now, you'll notice we have a trend line acting as a target. I've got the 1107.6. I got the trend line, 1103.3. 1089.6 and 1083.7. These are our long-term targets overhead. Again, with light volume today, though, with light volume that we saw today, we can clearly tell that today was really just a bunch of back and forth. Really, it wasn't a very strong move higher. So if we continue to go higher here, I'll continue to look for selling opportunities. And of course, don't forget, if you want real-time updates on this, come in and join me tomorrow morning in my trade room, and I'll walk you through what we're seeing. I'll even give you the real entry and exit information if you need assistance in getting into these positions. We've made some great profit on the Russell the past few weeks selling short. Now we're waiting to see when that next thing drops. Now, if we go a little bit faster time frame, again, long term, I'm selling right now. But if you're a scalper and you're looking for a little bit more action right now, you'll notice we are getting some higher highs and some higher lows. Now, again, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm still looking for the short side here using that previous anchor chart. But if you're a bull right now, I figured I'd give you some opportunities here to look for buy zones here on the bullish side. You can see here we got a higher high here, right? Higher high, higher low. We got this little channel going here right now, which means I've got buy zones below me at 18.8, 16.1. I've got this 13.3 hidden inside there. We've got the 12.4 and the 10.1. I've also got symmetry down here right around that 10.0, right? That 10 even, so 11, 10 even. Now, the way this works is that if you're a bull right now, and of course that would be very short term. If you're a bull in the short term right now, you're buying that 18.8, 16.1, 13.3, 12.4, etc., etc. Then you're going to use these targets overhead: 29.9, 31.3, 37.8, and 45.9. That's if you're a short-term bull. If you're like me and you're a long-term bear, then these levels below can be used as profit targets. So if you're still short with me from the trade room this afternoon, right? Members, I'm talking to you. If you're still in this trade short with us from the trade we called live in real time with exact entries and exits this afternoon, you can use these now as your profit targets as you go lower, right? For the buyers out there, what you're going to do is, remember, I'm not going to just hit the buy button. I'm not closing my eyes and buying this 18.8. That will be foolish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the turn to happen. And then once the turn happens, then I'm going to my entry charts and I'm finding the entry patterns on pullbacks, of course, right? We don't buy at a premium, we buy at a discount. Once again, I provide all these specific details in our trade room live in real time, and it's a very, very easy way for a brand new trader to learn while you're earning with me. So, long-term sells, short-term buys. Now you guys have a plan here on the mighty Russell. Let's keep going. Next up on the Russell is going to be the gold here, right? We go from the mighty Russell to that funny yellow metal. The gold futures market jumps back to 1,300 today, a little bit overshooting the 1,300 today. 1,300 is the big round number, right back up into the BMT, right back into the middle of this range. Well, I'll tell you, I thought we had some traction there going last few weeks, going to the downside. We made some great profit selling short on gold the past few weeks. Now it appears that chaos in the Middle East might just be catching up with us here right now. Might just be catching up with us. Again, this can't be regarding the news we're having in the U.S. Right now in the U.S., we're getting nothing but clear skies here right now. All the economic news has been peachy keen. It's been like a summer afternoon, right? Nice and clear. But the reality is we're getting a lot of bad news here. We had Italy that went into a technical recession this morning, second quarter in a row of negative GDP. Right? It's amazing, but it's hard to believe that Europe is in such a difficult situation right now, but they are. In the US, we're not feeling that right now. In Europe, though, they're having a big problem with deflation, right? So prices are falling, which means, of course, well, companies are making less money, right? When prices are falling, companies make less money, the growth is being stagnant, and of course, this all happening in the month of August when every building does not have air conditioning. Well, most buildings do not. I don't want to be that arrogant American, right? But most of the buildings in Europe don't have air conditioning, so they're going on vacation, right? So things are slowing down in Europe. They're really desperately trying to fix this problem right now, and I think that has a lot to do with this. So we got Middle East violence, of course. They've been loading up on. We saw fresh reports today out of Russia and Ukraine, building up with even more troops from Russia on the Russian border. Difficult to tell where that's going to go right now, but that's clearly impacting gold because you got to remember gold is a good thermometer, right, in the mouth of the world here right now, and it definitely feels like that fear factor has creeped right in here this morning. Looking at gold, you can see we're right in the middle of that daily chart range. Looking forward, though, on the faster time frame, and we can see here that, yeah, we are still bearish here on the gold. Now, remember, I got some bonus charts for you. You can zoom all the way out on the bonus charts and see what else we have here to work with. But very, very easy here. Very easy to see here that gold did jump this morning. And if you remember, we talked about this in last night's newsletter. If there's one market that is susceptible to these geopolitical risks, it is definitely gold. And so while I kept on talking about being bearish, you got to remember there is going to be that reaction to violence, the reaction to this fear in the market. It's going to be seen on gold more than any other market. So we are always aware that gold has that potential to snap back, especially when there's fresh news headlines of the next crisis, right? So we got to be aware of that, right? Got to be aware of that. That's one of the reasons why gold is not necessarily the best market for a brand new trader, right? It's got some real whippy moves to it, and it can move on a dime just from a whisper of any fear in the overall marketplace. Looking forward here, you can see we are right in our sell zones right now. Now, some people, I'm sure, will look at this session today and say, oh, baby, the bulls are in charge. Well, I don't know. The bulls may have grabbed the ball here, but those sellers, I think those sellers are going to be mounting a defense here against those buyers. You can see, if you look closely here, we're right into that 13-14 symmetry area. So right now, I'm calling for shorts on gold right now. Technically speaking, Just remember, though, we do have fundamentals, though, that are going to be very active over the next few weeks here as we see what happens in the Middle East and we see what happens in Europe. As you can see, though, I've got sell zones here, 1304, 1310, 1314, 1315, and 1323. I'm really not going to start calling this a bullish market until we see this go higher, pull back, and then hold. That's when I start thinking we're a bunch of bulls here now. Does that make sense, guys, right? Because you got to remember what's happening right now is that we are getting all three of these markets. And we talk about this every day in the room, by the way. I teach and trade at the same time, so I'm always teaching this stuff. But last week, we saw all the markets go lower. The beginning of this week, we're seeing the markets consolidate a little bit. Should we go higher? Should we go lower? You know what's happening, right? The sellers who made their mortgage payments for the next decade last week, right? Yours truly, here at School of Trade, we had made killing last week. Well, all the sellers took their profit, and all the buyers now are a bunch of bargain hunters. So there's this fight going on between the buyers and the sellers. Sure enough now, we get that jump up, right? New higher high. Now we have to be concerned. If it pulls back and keeps going, now we have the transition into the bulls being in charge, right? And that's when I start looking for the buys. But if this jump higher ends up failing and we go back, then we know that was nothing more than a knee-jerk reaction that most likely happened on low summertime, what I call a rookie rally, right? It's called a rookie rally. Basically, the smart money, right, the big traders in the market, they're on their big private yachts, right, and in the Mediterranean Sea right now. They're not watching this. So we always say during the month of August, right, the rookie rally, while the cat's away, the mice will play. Right, so we kind of have a feeling that might be it. Again, I'm going with a hunch right now, but I'm looking at the technicals here to give me the real proof that I need. All right, the way it felt today was that rookie rally, but we're going to see if these sell zones here are going to hold going into tomorrow's session. Now remember, very similar to the Russell, I'm long-term bearish here on gold, but I'm going to be short-term bullish because you can see we did make a higher high. So just like I said on the Russell, if you're a seller like I am right now, you've got some great profit targets waiting for you down below. If you're a bull on the gold right now, right, which I don't think we're quite there yet, but again, I'll be waiting to see, just like you will tomorrow, how the world reacts again with another day of geopolitical announcements. So if you're a buyer right now on gold, right, short-term buyer, long-term seller for me, I'm going to stay focused on the sell side right now. But if you're a buyer, though, you've got a couple buy zones here that are just ripe for the picking. Now, the ones in yellow, these are going to be the minor buy zones. The ones in green, these are going to be the major buy zones. So you will be rewarded by waiting for this 12, we'll call it 1298.4, right, down to this 86.5, all right? So that's where the easy money buyers will be. If you're a seller, you've got these now as profit targets all the way down below. If you're a buyer, I've got some targets for you here. Buy zone, I've got 3 projected targets overhead. We've got the 1311.5, 1314.2, and 1318.1 on the board for us right now for buy targets overhead. So if you're a bear, you've got some good targets below you. If you're a bull, again, be careful on the bulls here. Wait for price to pull back, test the zone, and then once you see it make that turn, that's when we go in and look for those entry patterns. You know my plan. You make a decision on your plan. And don't forget, if you want to come in tomorrow morning and join me in my trade room, opens up at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be trading gold, crude, Russell in real time. We'll give you guys exact entries and exact exits so you can profit while you're learning. Moving forward here from the funny yellow metal, from the yellow gold over here to the black gold, the crude oil futures. As you can see, boy, crude has another day in the red here today. I don't understand why. It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? With all the violence in the Middle East right now, with the good positive news coming out of the U.S., the only thing that I can think of here is this stagnant European economy right now. That must be the only reason why. It's either that or all the violence in the Middle East. It's just the boy that cried wolf, right? After you cry wolf a few too many times, nobody comes running, right? Nobody comes running anymore, do they? You know, the news media, they better be careful, because with all the social media these days and the ability for anyone to get their own platform, I really hope we see the day when all this news media and all their fear-mongering and all their lies and all their spinning this stuff, of course, you know why they do it. They're trying to appease their advertisers, and their advertisers, they choose one direction that they want to point you in. So you remember, I always tell you guys, don't trust the news media. Don't trust anything with advertising, because when there's advertising on the website, when there's advertising on their news channels on television, they're not talking to you. They're talking to their advertisers. So, you know, maybe it's all to blame on Europe right now. Maybe it's to blame on the fact that the news media has really just disobeyed our trust. They've abused our trust in them. They consistently sensationalize things. They've spun this whole Gaza an Israeli conflict thing completely in the wrong direction. If you ask my opinion, I'll, of course, leave my opinions out of it here right now for the most part. But they love to spin this thing, and it feels like right now that the average consumer might just say, you know what, enough of this. I don't really trust you anymore, because you've just tried to scare me. You haven't tried to inform me. So be careful about the news right now, because they're trying to sell advertising. They're not trying to make you well informed. They're definitely not telling you exactly the truth, right? They're spinning it to the way that their advertisers want it to be spun. So that's what I can assume is causing this, because in many other situations, we would be pushing higher here, right, with this positive news in the U.S. and, of course, this fear of violence in the Middle East, right? So a little bit of boy that cries wolf, a little bit of, we've kind of heard this too many times now, and you can see here crude oil pushing lower into this low of this channel. Now, I would imagine that we're going to have some support settling in here around this 96 area probably tomorrow. I would imagine, again, unless this geopolitical news comes out with something new tomorrow, I would assume, though, you can see the low of this bull channel is going to kick in here. We made it below the 97.12. The next level below us will be 94.90, but we have that trend line coming right up the side here, and that looks like we're going to be right about 96 even. So keep that in mind tomorrow morning while you're watching this thing continue to go lower here. As we move forward, now please don't forget, I've got all the bonus charts here where you can see exactly where I'm getting all of this information from, right? So if you want to see everything here on these anchor charts, make sure you download a copy of your bonus charts, all right? Now you'll notice on this 32, we have a short-term channel that's mixed in here now with this long-term channel. So it's a relatively interesting scenario we got going on right now on crude. But you can see, though, we've got new lower lows in price. With that lower low in price, we've been bearish here for the past 3 weeks straight. And like I said earlier, we've had a great run here on crude, selling off that 105 late last month, early this month. So we got the 99.09, 98.25, 97.68. These are sell zones now overhead. So as we go higher, I'm selling short, using these as my guide. And of course, remember, I'm not just closing my eyes and hoping for the best. I'm waiting for price to go up, and then once I see it start to collapse, then I know I've got this right where I want it. All right, I'm not just going to hit the sell button at 97.68. I need to wait for proof. I need to wait for confirmation. Now, if you remember, 2 days ago, we called this short, right, up around this 98.50 area. So we have been in this short here on crude for over 2 days now, and we are heading towards our 96.46 target, 96.02. Hey, heads up, right? That was that low of that channel we talked about earlier, so 96.02. I've got 95.44. And then if we got any heroes out there, this will be your hero target tomorrow, 94.22 if this crude goes off the rails. So sell zones overhead, I've got 3 of them. Targets below, I've got 4 of them for you. And don't forget that daily chart has that bullish channel low down around 96. So we definitely can assume 96 will be in the cards here unless something changes, of course, overnight. Last but not least here, on the 16 anchor chart here for crude oil futures, not a lot has changed here this time around, right? Not a lot of new stuff here. But again, you can see we've kind of adapted here for a bearish channel. Again, if you want to get all this information, come out and see me tomorrow morning in the trade room for real-time trade calls. And don't forget to download those bonus charts for tonight. As you can see here, once again, lower low in price, lower highs in price. Definitely bearish, below all the key moving averages. Easy on this one. I've got three and a half sell zones overhead. I've got a sell zone here at 97.41. I have a sell level at 97.68. I got another zone here at 97.82 and 98.25. Okay, once again, we'll be looking to sell short as price retraces off of these lows, right? New lower low in price. I can't sell this right now. I don't want to sell at a discount. It doesn't matter what I'm selling, whether it be a pocket full of gold coins, a used car, right? A brand new home, or crude oil futures. It doesn't matter. If I'm going to be a smart business person, I don't want to sell at the lows. I don't want to sell at a discount. I want to sell anything at a premium at the highs. So we'll wait for price to get up, and then depending on when it turns around, once it makes that turn, then we start to look for the entry pattern. In my trade room, I teach my students to trade like a professional. I teach you how to find the trend, how to find the setup, and then how to find the trigger. One without the others becomes a very high risk position or low percentage position. What's my trend right now? Trend is down. Where are my setups? I have 4 of them, right? There are 4 areas here to be looking for a short. Where's my entry trigger? Well, for that, you'll have to come in and join me tomorrow in real time in my trade room. It opens up at 8 a.m. Eastern time. And don't forget, if you go over to the blog right now, you can grab yourself a free pass to come out and join us in our trade room. So, as you can see here, guys, bearish on crude, bearish on gold, and tiptoeing around those bears on the Russell right now. So pretty much everything here still has that whiff of the bears in charge right now. But we definitely have reason to believe, though, the next couple days we're going to see some fireworks. Moving forward here, now that you know my plan here for all 3 of these markets, let's make sure we know about tomorrow's news. Tomorrow is Thursday, August 7th. It is a summertime Thursday, second week of the month. No real major flags going off for that, right? Next week will be the 3rd week of the month. We'll be OPEX week next week. Starting out here this evening, we've got the labor force survey in Australia. Very similar to our non-farm payrolls report. So a very important Redstar news at 9:30 p.m. this evening with our good friends down under. Then we go in tomorrow morning. In Asia, this will probably be sometime between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m. Tough to tell exactly when that announcement will be released, but we will be hearing from the Bank of Japan sometime again between 7 p.m. tonight, right, and 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Be alert for that if you trade in the Asian session. We get some minor news here at 1:45, 2 a.m., 2:45. Then we go into the good stuff. Then we go into the meat and potatoes tomorrow. It all begins at 7 a.m. Eastern time with the Bank of England announcement, right? Again, very similar here to a U.S. news report called the FOMC announcement, right? So Great Britain, the Bank of England, they have their FOMC day tomorrow morning, and that announcement will come at 7 a.m. We then have from the EU, we get the ECB's announcement. This has been touted as being a very important report tomorrow morning. Remember, the ECB right now has a really big problem on their hands. They've got deflation, they've got lack of jobs, the economy is really just stagnant, right? It's just sitting there, it's dangling right now, it's not growing. We just heard this morning that our friends in Italy are now in a technical recession. guys, they've got a big problem on their hands right now in the ECB. So I would imagine this announcement, which remember what usually happens is we're going to have tomorrow morning, just like our FOMC day, where the FOMC, it's a 2 o'clock announcement and then a 2:15 press conference. So tomorrow it'll be 7:45 a.m. Eastern time for the announcement, and then it's usually not until about 8:15 a.m. that we get the press conference. The press conference is where we get to watch all the politicians squirm, right? Where they're going to walk across the fire, so to speak. So it'll be very interesting to see tomorrow morning at 8:15, right, how that drama unfolds in live real time tomorrow morning at the ECB. So 7:45, we can expect that's going to be most likely what really all eyes and ears are focused on tomorrow morning. Then we go into this pathetic Red Star News report we call jobless claims. Now, jobless claims used to be a very well-respected report, but over the past year, jobless claims have pretty much been swept under the rug because now we know that jobless claims are dropping not because of more jobs, not because of improving economy, or I shouldn't say improving economy, as my good friend Janet Yellen said a few weeks ago. The employment, right? The employment sector of the United States is, what did she say? Underutilized, right? And of course, if you recall, I said, well, stop taxing us so much. Stop making it so difficult on us small business owners to hire people in the U.S. right now. It's hell to be a small business owner right now. So bottom line is, we know that most of the smart traders out there, they're going to be discounting that jobless claims report. In fact, in my trade room, it's what jobless claims report, right? I didn't see a jobless claims report. We're pretty much just ignoring it right now and trading nothing but the reaction. So my eyes and ears tomorrow will be focused on the ECB announcement and how the market reacts to it. I really hope that I'm wrong. I mean, I hope we get a response to the jobless claims report, but I'll tell you, until full-time employees actually get full-time jobs and aren't just taking 3 part-time jobs. That's how I'm hiring right now. I'm not hiring full-time employees. It's a nightmare. All the red tape and all the extra taxes for that? No thanks. I'd rather hire 3 part-time employees. It's much easier for a small business. So until that stops happening, these jobless claims and people leaving the job search, their jobless benefits expiring, until all that gets fixed, that jobless claims report is probably going to be, again, swept under the rug here, but hopefully I'm wrong tomorrow. Who knows? We'll be watching the reaction nonetheless. We got a minor report there at 10 o'clock out of Canada. We've got nat gas at 10:30. And again, for the rest of the day here, it's pretty much just some small piddly-willy news here after 8:30. So that tells me tomorrow, be ready for the action early in the session tomorrow morning. Got a bunch of news coming out of Asia. We got a bunch of news coming out of Europe. And then we got that little teeny tiny report, that jobless claims tomorrow morning at 8:30. So all eyes on the ECB tomorrow morning, and we will be watching accordingly in our live trade room as well. So guys and gals, I want to thank you so much for being a part of our trade room today. Before I let you guys go, I want to remind you guys, head over to SchoolOfTrade.com, check out our free trial. You'll learn more in that free trial than you will anywhere else on the web that you got to pay for. I can guarantee you that. We offer 3 levels of membership. We offer lifetime memberships. I do not believe in nickel and diming my clients, making you pay for indicators, tech support, and trade room. I believe a lifetime membership takes the pressure off of my students to learn and earn at your own pace. I would love to work with you all. And don't forget, I've got someone standing by here in the U.S. English is their first language. I promise you that. You'll go right to level 2 support, right? I'm kidding around with you here. If you've ever called Dell tech support or any tech support, right, you know what I'm talking about. Level 2, put me back in the States, right? But all kidding aside, though, live support here, standing by 24/7 if anybody needs any help. All right, guys, have a great evening. Have a wonderful Thursday morning. And don't forget, don't go at this alone. You got a great community of traders that would love to help you kickstart your career here at SchoolOfTrade.com. Give me a call, jump on Skype, or shoot me a message on live support, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Make sure you share this information with a friend. Catch with me tomorrow in the trade room, and you guys have a great summer evening. We'll see you next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.